Ever heard of the two ancient sea giants, Megalodon and Livyatan? Whales and sharks have long been known as rivals, which is nothing new. However, millions of years ago, a formidable hunting whale known as Livyatan had to live each day contending with a massive shark called Megalodon for resources. Describing these two immense creatures as giants is no exaggeration. Livyatan has massive jaws about 14 inches long, over a foot in length. Yet the Megalodon surpasses it in size, with jaws as wide as 7 feet and full of 250 horrible teeth. These two mighty creatures coexisted over 9 million years ago, but ultimately, the Megalodon outlived the other and went into extinction about 3 million years ago. One cannot help but wonder which was the most powerful and fiercest of all, Livyatan or Megalodon. Should there be a clash, which creature would emerge victorious? Join us as we dive deeper. Sea animals rarely attack each other, but if there was a fight, a Livyatan would win against a Megalodon. Does that mean that the Megalodon wasn't as powerful as the Livyatan? Yes. And why? Stick with me a little longer as we explore each of them's uniqueness. Though both were giant sea creatures, Livyatans were more advanced and intelligent. They possessed a higher level of intelligence than other reptiles. Livyatans had larger jaws and extremely long teeth, while Megalodon's jaws were smaller and not even as strong as Livyatans. Another notable distinction between Livyatan and Megalodon is their physical attributes and sensory capabilities. Livyatan can be described as a colossal sperm whale with large teeth on its upper and lower jaws. This creature relied on echolocation to locate its prey. On the other hand, Megalodon shares similarities with sharks such as the great white or mako species, along with highly developed olfactory senses, an acute sense of smell, and the capability to detect electrical fields emanating from potential prey. Another advantage the Livyatan had over the Megalodon was its smaller size. Speaking of size, the Livyatan was smaller but heavier in weight than the Megalodon. Based on estimates from a retrieved skull, the Livyatan was recorded as weighing up to 62 tons and measuring 57 feet in length. On the other hand, the Megalodon weighed about 50 tons and was 67 feet long. Because shark skeletons primarily comprise cartilage, the only surviving evidence of the Megalodon is teeth, jaw fragments, and a few vertebra fragments. However, to get an idea of what Megalodon looked like, imagine a great white shark but triple its size. It was the biggest and most dangerous shark that ever lived. Along with its 7-inch serrated teeth, it had the strongest bite force of any animal ever known, and was much more powerful than even the biggest dinosaurs. Therefore, it is safe to say that the Megalodon may have been longer, however it was less massive than Livyatan. This size disparity also impacts the Megalodon's speed when pursuing its prey. The Livyatan was believed to be faster than the Megalodon. It could move at speeds similar to sperm whales, ranging from 5 to 20 miles per hour. Megalodons could only move at about 11 miles per hour, possibly faster when closing on prey. So, if anyone should ask you why wasn't the Megalodon as powerful as the Livyatan, again, Livyatan has the advantage in terms of speed. Additionally, the Livyatan had a more robust physical defense mechanism. The Megalodon was an enormous apex predator that ruled the ocean waters, and its size made most enemies steer clear of it. However, Livyatan surpassed it in body mass and was even more imposing. It was the largest creature in the ocean during its lifetime. Not only that, Livyatan had teeth that could grow up to 14 inches in length, almost twice the size of Megalodon's, and bite through most creatures. Hence, other sea creatures wisely kept their distance, ensuring they stayed miles away from it. However, the fact that the Livyatan was more intimidating doesn't make the Megalodon less deadly. In fact, it is believed that the Megalodon was even more lethal than the most powerful sharks alive today. When hunting, the Megalodon preferred to target its victims' stomachs undetected, crush their organs, and draw blood. The Livyatan employed a slightly different tactic in its attacks. The imposing and swift creature mostly engaged in pursuit predation, often targeting other whales or dolphins in a relentless chase, gradually wearing them down until they drown. Smaller sharks were most likely killed with just a bite from the Leviathan's massive teeth, resulting in instant death. But it is unlikely that a Megalodon could kill a massive whale. The challenge lies in the Megalodon's hunting techniques. Instead of attacking directly, Megalodons prefer to target the chest cavities of their prey. In doing so, they would inevitably encounter blood and blubber during their initial bites, which would not help them take down a massive whale. Now that you understand why the Megalodon was considered less powerful than Leviathan, the logical question that might arise is, could another animal take down a Leviathan? We did a little research and tried to identify other sea creatures that could defeat the Leviathan, but couldn't. Were there any sea creatures more fierce than the Leviathan then? None. The Leviathan ruled the sea during its era, occupying the apex position in the prehistoric underwater food chain. One could also ask, since the Megalodon lived longer than Leviathan, would the Megalodon have probably killed the Leviathan? No. Leviathan and Megalodon coexisted in the oceans during a warmer period. They hunted the same large marine creatures such as whales, dolphins, porpoises, pinnipeds, sea turtles, sharks, and perhaps even smaller members of their species. However, it's difficult to fathom that Megalodon did not kill the Leviathan. Despite both species being dangerous predators, they likely prioritized other marine mammals as their main source of food rather than prey on each other. Experts envisioned that the adults of either species could have eaten the young of the other, but there's no evidence for this yet. In most modern depictions, Megalodon is often portrayed as a larger version of the great white shark. This is primarily because scientists previously believed that the two species shared a common ancestor. However, recent research suggests that Megalodon actually belonged to a distinct lineage of sharks and was the last species within that lineage. It is fascinating to envision the confrontation between these two extraordinary prehistoric sea creatures in a monumental battle. If we had existed during that era, we might have witnessed it firsthand. These formidable predators inhabited the same ocean and coexisted during the Miocene epoch about 13 million years ago. For instance, the Leviathan dominated the ocean around 12 to 13 million years ago. It was primarily found in the seas near what is now known as Israel and in the coastal regions of the eastern Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. It inhabited both offshore and deep-sea areas, extending its range to Australia. Like Leviathan, Megalodon was a surface hunter, most likely prowling the coasts like great white sharks. The Megalodon, which existed between 3 and 23 million years ago, was found in the seas surrounding Europe, Africa, the Americas, and Australia. It inhabited offshore areas where prey such as sea turtles, whales, seals, dolphins, and other sharks were abundant. It had a wide range, moving between coastal and oceanic waters during various stages of its life cycle. They undoubtedly encountered each other regularly as they vied for food and territory. Definitely, both went into extinction for similar reasons. Researchers speculate that the changing ocean conditions could have contributed to the extinction of these predators, either by directly affecting them or by modifying their food sources. Livyatan melville, referred to as Leviathan, and Odotus megalodon, remains one of the most terrifying marine predators that ever roamed our planet. Throughout history, creatures like these have given rise to countless myths and legends, captivating our imagination from the earliest days of human water exploration. Though these awe-inspiring beasts vanished from the earth long before modern humans emerged, a primal fear of the vast and mysterious depths of the open ocean persists within us. We cannot help but wonder what dark secrets might lurk within its depths. In simple words, Leviathan was smarter and quicker, while Megalodon was too big and less powerful. Over to you, viewers. What do you think? We'll end up today's video at this point. Share your views with us in the comments section. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.